Before Columbus carved his name into the story of the Atlantic, before Europe even imagined a world beyond its horizon, the ocean carried secrets, secrets whispered by waves that touched the shores of two continents. On quiet Caribbean nights, when the wind swirls across the water like a living memory, there are stories still told by elders, stories of dark-skinned sailors drifting from the rising sun, bringing gifts of gold, cotton, and knowledge. And though history has tried to erase them, the ocean has not forgotten. This is the story of the African empires whose ships crossed the Atlantic centuries before Columbus ever raised a sail. What follows is drawn from decades of research, academic studies in African maritime history, archaeological reports from West Africa, linguistic analysis from Harvard and the University of Chicago, oceanographic data from NOAA, and primary chronicles written by Arab scholars such as Al-Umari. While some details remain debated, the evidence, anthropological, historical, and environmental, reveals a world far more connected than conventional textbooks allow. This is not fantasy. This is not pseudo-history. This is the part of the world's past that mainstream narratives habitually silence. To understand how African empires reached the Americas, we must begin not with Columbus, but with the Atlantic itself. Stretching like a dark, restless mirror between continents, it conceals a powerful, ancient highway, the North Equatorial Current. Flowing westward from the coast of Africa straight into the Caribbean and South America, this current carries ships, whether simple rafts or grand imperial vessels, across the ocean with astonishing consistency. Thousands of years before European caravels learned to bend the wind, African navigators were already mastering rivers, coasts, and open seas. They cut boats from massive trunks, stitched planks with palm fibers, used cotton sails, and guided themselves by stars, birds, and swells. Maritime culture was not an exception in Africa. It was a tradition. From the Nile to the Niger, from the Red Sea to the Atlantic, Africa was a continent of sailors. And among them stood one empire whose ambitions would send shockwaves across the ocean. In the 14th century, the Mali Empire was one of the wealthiest civilizations on Earth. Its cities, Timbuktu, Niani, and Gao, were centers of astronomy, mathematics, navigation, and trade. Gold flowed from its mines like a river of sunlight, and its rulers commanded armies, scholars, diplomats, and fleets. But none were more daring than the ruler who preceded Mansa Musa, Mansa Abu Bakr II, the emperor who chose exploration over a throne. The decision that changed history. According to the accounts recorded by the Cairene scholar Al-Umari, Musa himself stated that his predecessor launched not one but two transatlantic expeditions. The first fleet, composed of 200 ships, sailed westward and never returned. Survivors told of a strange current that pulled them into an endless expanse. Abu Bakr listened, studied the currents, gathered knowledge from sailors, and made a decision no ruler of his age had made before.
He abdicated the throne, built a fleet of 2,000 ships, 1,000 for men, 1,000 for supplies, and personally led the expedition into the Atlantic. This was not madness, it was science. Mali's scholars knew the shape of currents, the cycles of the winds, and the behavior of migratory birds. Their boats, often large, multi-oared vessels, were fully capable of long-distance travel. The empire possessed wealth to supply such an expedition, and a political structure that could support a temporary absence of the ruler. And so, sometime around the year 1111, the great fleet vanished beyond the horizon, sails swelling with wind, paddles beating to the rhythm of ancient drums, hearts burning with the hope that beyond the setting sun lay a new world.
Modern oceanographic studies reveal that once a vessel catches the north equatorial current, it is carried directly toward the Americas. Experimental voyages in modern times by single-person rafts, West African pirogues, and reconstructed ancient boats have repeatedly made the crossing using nothing but current and wind. The largest of Abu Bakr's ships would have had no difficulty harnessing these forces. Even without advanced European navigation tools, African sailors relied on techniques shared across ancient maritime cultures. Using the angle of the sun, the flight patterns of birds, the color of the water, cloud formations, and the smell of land carried across the breeze. Many fleet members would have died, but history shows that even small accidental voyages can reach the Caribbean. A coordinated imperial expedition had every reason to succeed. This is where archaeology and oral traditions begin to whisper. For centuries, scholars, archaeologists, and anthropologists have uncovered clues, some highly credible, some less reliable, but all worth examining. Oral histories of the Caribbean and Central America. The Olmec, Maya, and several Caribbean cultures preserved stories of visitors who arrived from the east, people of the rising sun with black or dark copper skin, bringing metalworking and knowledge. While oral tradition alone is not definitive evidence, its consistency across regions raises important questions. Botanical evidence. Certain plants native to Africa, like the bottle gourd and the black-eyed pea, appear in the Americas before European contact. Modern genetic analysis suggests transatlantic transfer. Some botanists argue for natural dispersal, others for human movement. The debate continues. Metallurgical parallels. West African metallurgy, especially the handling of gold alloys, bears intriguing similarities to early metallurgical artifacts found in Central America. This does not prove contact, but the similarities are notable. Columbus's own testimony. Shortly after reaching the Americas, Columbus wrote that the people of Hispaniola told him of black men who arrived in large boats before the Spaniards, bringing spearheads made of a metal called guanin. Chemical analysis of guanine artifacts shows a composition almost identical to certain West African alloys. This is not fringe theory. These findings have been discussed in journals and museum studies for decades, though often overshadowed by the Eurocentric narrative that dominates school curricula. Mali was not the first African civilization to look beyond the horizon. Nubia and Kush. For thousands of years, the Nubians and Kushites commanded the great river highways of the Nile. Their ships, long, slender, fast, navigated from the heart of Africa to the Mediterranean. Kushite traders reached Arabia, India, and possibly beyond. Their naval engineering influenced Egypt itself. Imagine a culture so deeply tied to water that its kings were buried with boats to carry them into the afterlife. For them, the idea of distant shores was not impossible, only unexplored. Carthage, masters of the Western Sea. Centuries before Rome burned their city, the Phoenician Carthaginian world conducted voyages around Africa, ventured into the Atlantic, and established coastal settlements. Carthaginian explorer Hanno the Navigator sailed far beyond the limits Europeans believed possible. Although Carthage was not a sub-Saharan empire, its African identity, maritime prowess, and seafaring networks created a cultural link between Africa and the Atlantic exploration tradition. Ocean science. The Atlantic is not a barrier, but a bridge. To understand the plausibility of African voyages to the Americas, one must understand the ocean not as a wall, but as a conveyor belt. The North Equatorial Current carries ships west from Senegal, Gambia, or Guinea straight into Brazil, Venezuela, the Caribbean islands.
The trade winds, reliable, predictable, and ancient. Sailors in West Africa knew them intimately. The Intertropical Convergence Zone provides seasonal winds to push vessels into mid-ocean. These are not random forces. They are the same winds European explorers used 200 years later. The ocean was not conquered by Columbus. It was simply understood by those who came before him. Modern scholars continue to debate pre-Columbian contact. Some evidence is concrete, some remains speculative. But the debate exists because the evidence refuses to be dismissed. Genetic studies. A few earlier studies proposed African ancestry in isolated pre-Columbian populations of the Americas. Most of these studies are now considered inconclusive, but they opened the door to further investigation. Cave art and iconography. Some carvings in Mesoamerica exhibit facial features that resemble West African physiognomy. While this is not definitive proof, it remains a point of curiosity among anthropologists. Less reliable evidence. A few fringe claims, such as giant African sculptures or massive transoceanic colonies, lack academic support. That these do not diminish the legitimacy of more serious studies. Credible evidence must be separated from exaggeration, but ignored evidence must not be buried. If the fleet reached the Americas, why did it not return? The answer lies in the nature of exploration itself. Many explorers before and after Abu Bakr set out on voyages that reshaped history, yet never came home. Settlers may have integrated into local societies. Some may have died in storms. Others may have established small, unrecorded communities that vanished over centuries. History remembers the conquerors, not the quiet arrivals. If even a fraction of the fleet reached the Americas, their presence, however brief, could have influenced local cultures in subtle ways. Technologies, crops, stories, metallurgy, or maritime lore. Abu Bakr's disappearance remains one of the great mysteries of world history. But the currents he followed, the technology he commanded, and the stories left behind all point toward one astonishing possibility. He made it. History is not a fixed story. It is a living river,
shaped by new discoveries, new questions, and the courage to challenge old assumptions. The idea that Africans reached the Americas before Columbus is not an attempt to rewrite history. It is an attempt to restore it. For too long, the brilliance of African civilizations, their scientific achievements, their maritime skills, and their global influence have been silenced beneath colonial narratives. Yet the evidence, linguistic, archaeological, environmental, and historical, invite us to look again. The Mali Empire's Atlantic expeditions, the navigation traditions of Nubia and Kush, the ocean currents that demand to be followed, the oral histories that refuse to disappear. Together, they tell a story not of isolation, but of connection. A story not of impossibility, but of daring. A story not of myth, but of memory. If this documentary opened a door you never knew existed, if it revealed a chapter of history long hidden beneath the waves, then join us as we continue unearthing the forgotten truths of the ancient world. Like the video, share it with someone who loves history, and subscribe for more cinematic journeys into the past. Every view, every comment, every voice helps restore the stories that were taken from us. History does not belong to the victors. History belongs to all of us, and together we will reclaim it.